Hi guys, and welcome back to our channel. We're the Schoenberg family. It's just me today, Hayley, because Katya's out and about with Emmy in the pram. She's gone for a little walk. She will be making an appearance at the end of this video. So finally I can introduce you all to our little baby girl. She is 5 weeks old tomorrow, which is actually crazy how fast the time has gone. And yeah, as you can tell by the title of this video, I finally got around to sitting down and telling you all our birth story, or birth vlog, whatever. I've got some video footage from the labour itself, which I will be inserting into this video. It's not much, purely because it was a very crazy experience and I was in much more pain than I expected, so the camera got put away, unfortunately, at a certain point. And yeah, it's taken me quite a while to be able to sit down and tell you how things was, purely because obviously we've got a newborn, we've got a new baby, we wanted to have like bonding time, and just finding the time to actually sit down. It's not very easy. Another reason, because I literally have not been able to sit down, like physically sit down, for 5 weeks, because I had a lot of stitches and it was very painful. Another reason is because it was very traumatic. Yes, it was most definitely not a positive birth experience for me. And definitely not something I ever want to do again. So if you're looking for a positive birth story, then I suggest you switch this video off right now and go find something else, basically. So yeah, it may not sound traumatizing, it may not sound as bad as I felt that it was, purely because not much really happened. I think that was the point, not much happened. But for me, it was very traumatizing, and I think it's going to take me a very long time to get over like what I went through. So yeah, let's just get into it, shall we? Here we go, birth vlog. So I think in the 3rd trimester update video, we spoke a little bit about the fact that the doctors wanted me to induce the labour, and we wasn't sure what we wanted to do. So basically they asked us at 37 weeks to induce Emmy, and I had said no, because I had felt that it was basically just too early to induce the labour. And then they asked us again at 38 weeks. I also said no. And then me and Katya made the decision that we would wait until 39 weeks and go back and have a rescan to double check her size again. And depending on what size they thought she was then, we would then make the decision if we should induce or not. I really didn't want to induce, because I wanted to have the experience of going into, like, you know, like a natural labour at home, and it wasn't something that I really wanted to do. But of course you have to listen to the professionals, you have to listen to the doctors and the advice that you've been given. So from 38 weeks onwards, sorry, I did multiple rounds of acupuncture. I was walking quite a lot. I was drinking lots of raspberry leaf tea. I was dancing. I was doing labour-inducing yoga at home. Basically, was doing everything I could to try and get Emmy out, basically, before the 39-week scan, just in case they told me to induce. Anyways, none of that worked. So at 39 weeks and 1 day, I had to go to the hospital for the growth scan. Now, Katya wasn't allowed in with me because of the coronavirus situation, so I had to go alone. We put the hospital bag in the car just in case I needed to stay in for whatever reason. Anyways, I got there at about 9 AM that day for my growth scan. And the weird thing was, as soon as I got there this time, they gave me like a wristband, what you normally get when you stay in the hospital. So I did find it a bit odd how as soon as I'd gone into the hospital for the growth scan, they'd already kind of made not the decision, but like give me a wristband to say that I was staying in. I didn't really question it because I thought, well, maybe it's a new thing, I don't know. I also have to remind you all that I am English and we do live in Germany, and although that my German language skills are on a good level, when I'm stressed or when I'm nervous or when, like, you know, being in this hospital environment, it's not words that you use on a day-to-day basis. So the level of communication was not very good from the very beginning. So that I just want to put out there. So I got there, they give me this wristband. I believe I waited around like 3 hours or something like this until I actually got into the scan room. Finally, I think it was about 12 o'clock I had the scan, and the doctor came and told me that Emmy was measuring at 4.2 kilo. And then I asked if it's possible to please have a second opinion, because obviously it's always good to have a second opinion. So the second doctor came and measured her at 4.3 kilo, which I googled it and it said it's like £9.4, £9.5, which actually I don't think it's that much. Like, it's not really a big bit. I mean, it's a big baby, it is a big weight, but I know that it's doable. So I didn't really expect the doctor to turn around and tell me that we needed to induce, but she did. She basically told me that I should induce. It would be very dangerous if I didn't induce. She recommended that I induced the labour that day and to not wait any longer, because it's putting, the longer we wait, it's putting more danger into it's putting more risks there. So yeah, basically I should induce. So of course it wasn't really the response that I wanted. However, I needed to take it very seriously because she's a professional, she's a doctor, she knows what she's talking about. So I said, okay, please can I have like some minutes to ring my wife? So I called Katya, explained the situation, and yeah, we both agreed that it was the right thing to do, was to induce. So at this point it was about 2 PM in the afternoon. They then told me I needed to decide which way of inducing I wanted to go. So whether it be taking pills, putting a pessary inside of me, like a hormonal stimulation thing, or I could choose to have this thing called the Foley balloon, which they put inside of you, like expands. It makes your cervix like open and it can start contractions. So it would start the process of labour. It's a more natural way of doing things. So I went with the balloon, not knowing that it was going to be so painful. Anyways, it was now about 3 PM-ish. Some doctors came into the room and a midwife, I believe, and we started to get the balloon inside of me. Wasn't the most pleasant experience because at this point I was only dilated 1 centimetre, so trying to get it in was a bit difficult and very, very painful. However, they got it in. There was a bit of, you know, I was like, ow. But it went away after like 10 minutes and that was it. We was starting the process of labour. They gave me a room to go into with a bed. just a standard hospital room. Normally I would have a room, like a roommate. There would be another woman in that room with me. However, at this point in time, it was empty, which was amazing. They said, go to the room and basically see what happens. And that was it. I went into the room and I just thought, well, okay, I have to just slowly go into labour or something will happen. I decided not to lay on the bed because it was so uncomfortable anyways to even get on the bed. I was in pain down there. It felt like a big ball was in between my legs. And I just decided, okay, I'll just call Katya and just keep on my feet as long as possible, because I know that this also helps, that gravity should help my cervix to dilate and should help move things like along. It got to about 6 p.m. and a nurse came into the room and told me that I needed to go to a monitoring to check baby's heart rate and to check my contractions. And at this point in time, at 6 o'clock, I already had started to get some, what I would call like mild contractions here and there. There was picking up on the scan, and Emmy's heart rate was totally fine. So they sent me back to my room. I walked back down the corridor, back to my room. Bearing in mind, this corridor is like Titanic, you know, the Titanic, like the scene with a big long corridor. It was like this. It was so long, and when you're in pain, it just seems even longer. Anyways, I made it there and back, got back into my room. It got to about 8 o'clock and my contractions was really picking up, and it was actually very, very uncomfortable at this point in time. I still couldn't really lay down. I was just in pain basically. So I pressed the buzzer, which you press for like a nurse or a midwife to come. She finally came. And I said to her, look, I'm in very bad pain. Is there anything that I could take? I don't know, a paracetamol, ibuprofen, or whatever it is they give you, or you can do in early labour to help. And she said, no, there's nothing you can do. Just sit it out, basically. It'll get worse. And she basically just smiled and said, it will get worse. And she left again. Which, yeah, I know it will get worse, but I was kind of hoping I would just get a bit of like, I don't know, some advice of what to do. You know, I've never had a baby before, and like I was on my own, and I was a bit scared, to be honest, because I didn't know what my body was doing. I just didn't know what was going on. Basically then another nurse came and told me at midnight, I think about 10 o'clock she came to tell me that at midnight I have another monitoring, so I have to go back to the room for another heart rate scan and contraction thing. But I was in so much pain already that I said, please can I go now, because I have the feeling that something's like not right, because it's so painful. She said, okay, go there, ask them, see if they will see you. So I walked back down this long Titanic corridor, got to the scan room, and I said, look, I'm here now. I know I'm supposed to come at midnight, but can I please like have a scan now to see what's going on? And basically the woman said to me, no, you cannot, go back to your room. It's normal, it's supposed to hurt. And yeah, and I asked her, please can we then take the balloon out, because I want to see if there's a different way that we could maybe try to do the labour, because I had the feeling that something wasn't right, because it was like, I don't know, I just had the feeling that something wasn't right. Anyways, she told me if I want the balloon out, they're not going to take it out, and I should go back to my room and try and pull it out. Basically myself, I should try and pull the balloon out of my vagina. So I was like, right, okay. Started crying. I was like, okay. And I just wondered why someone would tell me to do that. I was so confused, and I was so confused as to why they didn't want to scan me, and I was so confused why they wouldn't give me any pain relief, and I was so confused why I had to walk up and down this corridor that was like 12 miles long. So it's like 9:45 and I just went to ask if I could get some pain relief, but they said no, because I still have the balloon in, and I'm in this room, and until the balloon falls out itself, they're not going to give me anything. And until the balloon falls out, Katya's not allowed to be with me. But it's so painful. And it's like, I don't know, quarter to 10 now. Maybe I'm just being a wimp. But I just had to walk down the corridor, and they just said, sorry. They asked me to try and pull the balloon out now myself in the toilet. And if it comes out easy, then let's go see. I mean, I won't show you that bit. Let's see. I just didn't know what was going on, especially being alone and obviously doing everything in a second language. It was just very, 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 very confusing, and I felt very lonely. So I walked back down this corridor with every single step thinking, I'm gonna die. How am I gonna make it? Got back to my room, waited another couple of hours, and went back at midnight like they told me to. So walked back down the corridor of death and got into the monitoring room. Everything was fine. They said my contractions was every 3 to 4 to 5, I can't remember, I think it was 4 to 5 minutes at this point. My contractions was every 4 to 5 minutes. And I was like, well, when is this balloon supposed to fall out? Is it not supposed to fall out, like, am I not dilated enough yet? Like, they said it would fall out when I get to 5 centimeters, which I was not yet because it had not fallen out. However, my contractions were very regular. I walked back to my room down the long corridor of death. I opened my door to find, oh, I've now got a roommate. Amazing. Not really amazing, because I was in pain, and the roommate that I got had literally just given birth, so she was so tired. All she wanted to do was sleep, and then there's me sounding like a whale every second because I'm in pain. So I was like, I cannot stay in that room. I literally could not stay in that room. So I tried. I said hello, and I was like nice and hi, you know, trying not to be in pain. But then I decided, right, I'm just going to go on the corridor because I cannot be in that room. So I walked up and down the corridor of death for like an hour or so. The nurses came to me and asked me why I wasn't in my room, and I said because there's a woman in there who's just given birth, and I just don't feel comfortable in there, like screaming away when she's trying to get some sleep. It just feels very odd to me. And basically they told me to go to my room and that I can't be on the corridor and that I need to go in my room. And I said, well, I'm not going to my room. It was a bit confrontational. So in the end I just stayed on the corridor. Got to about 2 AM. I was on the phone to Katya. I was told her, like, literally, I just cannot take this pain no more. I don't know what to do. Nobody is listening to me. Nobody is taking me, like, seriously. I just don't know what to do. So she said that she was going to call the hospital. I don't know why, but for some reason I told her not to. By this point I was making a bit of noise, as you can imagine. It was like with every contraction, it was like, I can't even describe the sound. It was like, I'm not gonna do it now. It was like I was like a whale or a cow basically. And then I finally went to like the room where all the midwives sit in, like the little staff room, and I was like, look, I cannot take this anymore. If you don't give me a room, another room to go into, I'm gonna walk home because I live around the corner. I'm gonna leave, or I'm gonna sleep on the corridor floor. This was how much pain I was in. Like, I can't believe I even said that. Like, it seems actually really bad of me to do that, but I was in that much pain. I literally was like, do something. In the end, they found me a room on the labour ward, a room that was empty, so they put me there. But they told me when they put me in, look, this is just temporary. If somebody comes, you have to leave. So I could hear like women screaming. I could hear the worst screaming pains you could imagine. I could hear women shouting Hilfe, which basically means help. It was like a nightmare, and I was in so much pain. I was on the phone to Katya and I said, look, I'm in this room now, I'm gonna try and calm myself down, and basically I will try again to just ask for some pain relief. So I pressed the buzzer. A nurse came to this room, this now private room that I was in, and I said, please, can I have some pain relief? And she said, no. Bearing in mind, I got the balloon put in about like hours and hours and hours and hours ago. My contractions was every like 4 minutes. I wasn't allowed any pain relief. So I said, okay, please, can you go get the doctor, because this can't be normal. Like, I just want something. I cannot, how can I even, she said, get some rest. How can I get some rest? Anyways, the doctor finally came. I said, please, can I have something, or can you take the balloon out? The doctor said to me that they won't take the balloon out, because if they take the balloon out, then it will stop the process, or they're scared that it will stop the process of labour. So I was like, right, okay, then keep it in. Well, I didn't really have a choice. And then the doctor came and gave me like a drip. They put me on some drip, I don't know what it was. Obviously they didn't tell me, or if they did, I didn't understand them, because obviously it's in German, and I was like, right, okay, whatever, not bothered. However, it didn't help. So I pressed the buzzer again. They must have hated me. They took the time coming. I would say they took about half an hour in between me pressing the buzzer and actually coming to me, which I found absolutely crazy. Anyways, family came to me, and I was at this point begging, like begging. I was literally like, please give me something. Like begging them. I was offering them money, telling them I will pay for it. I will pay for the pain relief. Which is ridiculous, because I'm in a hospital full of pain relief, but they wouldn't give me anything. And then I think she left and somebody else came in. I was laid on the bed. Anyways, the next thing I know, I have the sharpest pain going into my ass, and I woke up the next day at 8 AM. So basically, a nurse had come in and injected me into my bum with like some kind of sedative, which put me to sleep, which I then woke up at like 8 AM the next day thinking, what the hell happened? I had contractions still, but it was more like of a dull ache right now, like the next day. And I just found it crazy that they'd actually just put me to sleep. Like, I didn't even know that was gonna happen. Or maybe they told me. I don't know if they told me or not. I can't remember, but I don't think they did. So yeah, anyways, I don't know, I'm gonna cry now. I'm not gonna cry. Anyways, they came and told me I need to leave my nice private room that I was in, and I have to go back to the room that I was in before with the roommate, and they made me walk the corridor of death once more. I got into my room, and then a nurse came and told me I need to go back down the corridor again to the heart rate monitoring scan. So I'd just gone down that long corridor and I had to go back again. So I got my stuff, because I had to carry my notes around with me, and I walked back down the corridor to the scan room, to the monitoring room. They put me on the monitor, and I was so out of it. I was like, just laid down like this. And the next minute I know like 2 midwives come running in and like look at the graph where the heart rate was of Emmy, and the next minute I know they're giving me like some kind of solution to drink and some apple juice and some like just some stuff like put into my drip. Basically because Emma's heart rate was very low, was way too low, and then I started to panic because she's never had a low heart rate before, and I'm thinking, is it to do with the sedative? Is it because I'm in stress? Is it because they've not given me pain relief, which I've been begging for the last day, 24 hours or whatever it was? Yeah, I was just honestly in so much pain. I just considered just leaving, just walking out the hospital, because there wasn't doing anything. But then obviously now her heart rate was low that I couldn't obviously just leave. It was crazy. Anyways, in like an hour or so, her heart rate started to pick up again, and there wasn't so concerned anymore. So they sent me back to my room without any pain relief, without nothing, without really knowing what was going on. I went back to my room, I called Katya, and by this point I think Katya had also just had enough. She wanted to know what was going on, she wanted answers, she wanted to know why they wasn't giving me pain relief, she wanted to know why they wasn't listening to me. So she came to the hospital and she literally picked me out of my room. Like at this point I couldn't even take a step. I couldn't even walk because I just couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up straight. I was like hunched over, just moaning. We walked to where all the nurses are, like the station where the nurses are. And Katya basically just said like to them, what is going on? Why is my wife in pain? Why are you not giving her pain relief? Why are you not listening to her when she's asking you to take the balloon out? Why is it, basically what the fuck is going on? And I just sat there listening to them discuss, obviously all in German, and I'm like out of it thinking, I'm just gonna die, like just shoot me. I'd rather just shoot me, basically. In the end, they agreed. Okay, we'll take the balloon out of you, but Katya, your wife, cannot come with you. She has to go. And Katya was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying. She was basically my saviour. She saved my life. So they said, all right, and they knew she meant she was serious. So they said, okay, you can stay. So, like with some discussion, it wasn't just like, okay, you can stay. It was like, anyways. Katya came into the room, they took the balloon out, which absolutely killed, because the only way to pull the balloon out is literally yank it out of my cervix, which was not even dilated at all. And you can imagine the balloon's there and it's trying to fit through this. It just was so painful. Pulled out. Blood was everywhere. Water was everywhere. The pain was unreal, but the moment it came out, it was like, release. But then, a few seconds after, came very, very, very strong, and I mean very strong, contractions, to the point where I I couldn't do it no more. I don't know. Luckily it was like a shift change that day, so all the nurses from the night before had gone, and I got a very, or I found on the corridor basically a very nice midwife who came over and said, look, what's going on? Katya told them the story of what's happening. I told her the story. She said, okay, this is not right. Let me go talk to a doctor on the labour ward. She came back and she said, okay, we're going to take you in now to the labour ward. Oh my God. And Katya was allowed to stay. I was so happy. And I had her on one arm, Katya on the other, basically holding me up, right, to walk to the labour ward because I couldn't walk. I got into the labour room. She was absolutely lovely. This midwife was the only person in that full hospital that listened to me, that cared, and that was offering me some kind of relief and took me seriously. She was confused why I wasn't already in there, because she said she doesn't understand, because she could see in my notes, she told me that my contractions were already at the point where I should have already been in the labour ward like miles earlier. And in fact it was very dangerous for them to leave me in that stage of labour. But the problem was, it was like my contractions were ahead of my dilation. So I wasn't dilating, but my contractions were like ahead of time, if you know what I mean. So anyways, she checked me again, and lo and behold, I was finally dilating. So I believed that this balloon was actually stopping me from dilating, because as soon as it came out, I was dilating. I was in the labour room, and I decided to get into the bath because I thought maybe the bath will like help chill me out a bit. She said I could have some pain relief. Hallelujah. She went to discuss with the doctor some stuff, and I was left with Katya to like chill out in the bathtub. I don't know what happened, but I got out of the bathtub and somehow I ended up getting an epidural. It was like a walking epidural, so it was one that stays in your back with like a wire, and you have like a little clicky thing, and you can click how much medication you get. So you control the amount of pain relief that you get. So I think I clicked it once. I think I got the epidural at about 3 o'clock. And I was basically stationary on a bed then, because I had the epidural in me.
This is our lovely room with the bathtub, ensuite toilet, and a lot of wires, controlling machines, everything. How are you, love?
Wunderbar. Amazing. Now I've got the epidural.
I'm so glad you got one.
The last 20, no, was it 2 days? The last 2 days.
Like,
how long have I been here?
Since yesterday morning. You have been here now 36 hours.
Yeah, the last 36 hours has been hell. And so luckily we found a doctor who liked me and brought us into the room, the labour room. So Katya was allowed in finally.
Finally, yeah.
And we didn't film any of me going through my pain, did we?
No, not really.
Oh gosh, but you don't want to see it. It was horrendous. I really thought I could handle labour better. Turns out I can't, so got the epidural.
A couple of hours ago, so finally you can get some rest.
Yeah, get some rest. But I can still feel them actually, because it's like a clicky one. Where is it?
It is here. Like,
there, you click this button.
You click it, and then this machine releases some painkiller.
They also decided to give me a drip of oxytocin to help my cervix dilate more. I think at this point, let's say it was about 5 p.m-ish now, they checked me again and I was like 5 centimeters, something like this. But I was pain free now and I was happy because finally someone had listened to me and it was the most beautiful thing ever. I was so happy. But also just so confused as to why this didn't happen earlier. Yeah, anyways. Emmy's heart rate was back to normal. I was pain free. Cassie was there. Everything was fine. The hospital bag wasn't even with me because that was in the other room, like the room that I was in before. So actually I sent Katya to go to the room to pick up the bag and she came back with the snack bag. Who didn't have the hospital bag, the stuff I needed for labour, but we had snacks. So that was fantastic, although I didn't want any snacks because I just was not hungry at all. They kept coming in every so often to, what do you call it? How is it called? When they take your urine out of you. They had to put a catheter in to take the urine out of me because I wasn't allowed a full bladder. This was all good. This was all fine because I couldn't feel anything. However, got to about 7 p.m. and my contractions started to really pick up on the monitor. This we could see, it was like ginormous. But I also started to feel them again. I could feel the left side of me was not really numb. And my contractions was coming in really strong, so the pain was really intense coming back. I later found out that the epidural was not, what am I saying? No. At this point, it was still there. However, I was not allowed to click it anymore from this point onwards. And I'd only clicked a small amount before that. So fast forward some time, I'm in labour. My epidural slowly started to like wear off. And because my contractions were so intense, the pain, it was as though I'd never even had anything. Honestly, I don't know if it's just me, I've got a low pain tolerance, but it was just so painful. And then I started to like obviously scream again, not scream, but like, ah, make this noises, ah, kind of noise, a bit louder than that. It was just insane. And anyways, then the nice midwife came and said to me that she has a shift change and I get the new doctors who was there the night before who were going to deliver my baby. And when they came in the room, I nearly cried because one of the midwives who actually was going to deliver my baby was one of the midwives who was really horrible to me the night before. So I was really upset about that. However, let's fast forward some time. Let's say it was now midnight. Midnight came and I was about 7 centimeters dilated, something like this. The pain was unbearable, very unbearable. I was no longer allowed to use the epidural, obviously I told you before. The numbness was all on one leg, literally on one leg. I was not even numb down there, like where it's supposed to be numb. And yeah, let's say it got to 3 o'clock, they told me, okay, when you feel the urge to poo, you're going to start pushing, because by this point I was 8 centimeters. So they left me. I had to wait for the urge to poo. The urge to poo finally came. They came back into the room. I told them, look, I think I need to poo. Which I did poo. But that's another story. They said, okay, it's time to start pushing. I thought, oh my God, it's 3:30 or something like this in the morning. It's time to start pushing. By this point, I was so tired. I just wanted to sleep. I could not even think about pushing now. I didn't know how to push. The midwives didn't speak any English. I couldn't speak German at this point in time. I just didn't know what, I didn't even know how to push. It was just a disaster. So I did what I think was pushing. They told me to close my eyes and push. And I closed my eyes and I pushed. With that, out pops a poo. The first thing that comes out is a poo. I'm asking, am I pooing? Am I pooing? I'm asking Katya, I'm asking the nurses. They're all saying, no, you're not pooing. I'm saying, I think I am pooing, but they're all telling me I'm not. But I was. And I know I was because I could smell it. But the thing was, they was all lying to me. And I was like getting angry. I was thinking, why are you lying? Obviously you don't need to lie. If I'm pooing, just tell me. Anyways, I had a poo. Big drama. Not really, I wasn't bothered. Took it away. Anyways, I was pushing for my life. And with every push, it was so painful. It was just so painful. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I just didn't know what was going on. Anyways, 2 hours later, they said, we can feel the head. Do you want to feel it? I said, okay. No, I said no. I said no, I don't want to feel it. I said no. And I said, no, I'm going to go to sleep. And I closed my eyes and I was like, no, you're not going to go to sleep. I said, no, I'm so tired, I cannot do it anymore. And I said, please, can I have a C-section? I'll pay you, I'll pay you. And they just laughed at me because obviously it was far too late for a C-section. I said, well, I want to go home, I want to go home. Obviously I can't go home and I can't have a C-section. The only way out of this is to push the baby out. Oh god, it was just so horrendous. Anyways, it kind of like, nothing was really happening. I was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. I did decide to feel the head, which gave me a bit of motivation in the end to push a bit harder. And then Katya told me the nurses just looked at each other because they were like, it's not happening. Basically, Emma's head got stuck in the birth canal, so she was now stuck. This was very scary. This was a scary moment. The nurses came and told me, no, the nurses then said to me, stop pushing. I was no longer allowed to push. Now when you're in the stages of pushing and the head is literally there and you're told not to push, it's the hardest thing ever not to push. So I was like, okay, I'm not pushing, but secretly I was pushing, but I was like, I'm not, but I'm trying not to, but I don't want to push so hard. Anyways, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I felt the most sharp pain in the world. And I screamed, the loudest scream I've ever screamed. Katya said she could hear the noise. They had to cut me, so they cut me, and I could feel hands. Literally, I could feel the hands like up to here, like inside of me, and I could feel the pulling of the head. I could feel the pushing of. There was in my bum hole as well, pushing my bum, and it was just horrific because I could feel everything. Could feel everything. I didn't want to feel everything. I know some women love to feel everything, but I didn't want to feel everything, especially not with being left for all that time before in pain. But anyways, the moment had come. Oh no, I forgot to explain. They popped my waters as well. I forgot about that. They popped my waters sometime before that. Anyway, it's not important. The moment had come. She said, one last push, push. She cut and they pulled, and it was like, pull. They just pulled her out of me. Literally, they yanked her out of me with all of their strength. And I was just like, I knew instantly, she's out, she's there, she's there. It was just so crazy. It was like, all of a sudden you just feel like, poof, just, I can't even explain it. It was like totally emptiness. I felt skinny. I felt my water just go everywhere. I felt this blob, 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 like a blob. It's the only way I can describe it. It's like blob, blob, blob. And I just remember Katya going, she's here. Like, I could just hear her saying she's here, and I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry, try not to cry. And I could hear a little like this kind of noise, and I was like, is she okay, is she okay? I didn't know she was okay, and all of a sudden I just opened my eyes and I just saw this little creature being thrown at me. Basically they just piled her onto my chest, which was just amazing. And actually I was naked at this point because I'd taken all my clothes off throughout the labour. I was totally nude, and they just placed her on my chest, placed a blanket over me, and that was it. I was just holding her, and I could just feel her warmth and her little bones in my hand, and she was so sticky, and it was just the most beautiful moment of my life. And I remember I just closed my eyes and I just held her, and I was just like, we did it, I did it, we're here, she's safe. And I don't even know, I don't even remember looking at Kasia or anyone. I just remember just asking, is she okay, is she breathing? I was constantly asking, is she okay, because she wasn't yet crying. But then she started to cry, so then I knew she was like okay. And I just remember shouting, Kasia's cutting the umbilical cord, and I told everyone in that room, please let Katia cut it, because I was terrified that another thing was going to be like ignored from me or something like that. So but then Katia told me I've already cut it, so she'd already done it by that point. But it was just so overwhelming. It was the most amazing experience ever, like just seeing that little body just come towards you. And I remember just being, it wasn't like I cried as soon as I saw her. I was in shock. I literally just was like, what is that thing? What is that thing? It's suddenly, this full process just became a reality. There was a tiny little person in there who I love, and I will, like, it's my daughter, do you know? It's our daughter, and I just couldn't believe it. And to finally have her in my arms after such a shitty experience. Well, yeah, it was a pretty shit experience, to be fair. Just felt so wonderful, and all of that just happened didn't matter anymore. Like, nothing mattered. Nothing mattered anymore. She was there and she was safe, and that was all that mattered. And I looked at Katia and I said, we did it, and she said, we did it, and we had a kiss. And of course I was still in pain down there, and I'm holding Emmy, and I think I asked the nurse, is it a girl? Like, so we checked, and then I asked somebody else, is it a girl? We knew it was a girl, but I didn't look. It was confirmed Emmy was in fact Emmy. And I'm holding her still, I'm still naked, and then the realization hits, shit, they need to stitch me back up. Now, I was cut, and not only was I cut, my cervix had also torn. So I'd torn inside, outside. My bum hole had been ripped from the constant fisting, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it was just so painful. And then the doctor came in and said, look, I'm going to stitch you back up now, but the baby will stay on you. So we stayed there, and we have some photos that I will put in now. Yeah, so in these photos, actually I'm being stitched up down there, but obviously you don't see that part. And I just remember going, ow, 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 it's really hurting. And then smile for the picture, and then ow, ow, ow. And it felt like 10 minutes to me, but apparently it was like literally over an hour they were stitching me back up for. Anyways, all that was over. An hour later, I've been stitched back up again. And I just couldn't believe it. I could not stop staring at her. I was just totally in love. And then it came to the part where they check how much she weighs. And this was the moment of truth to see if it was even like, if she was 10 pounds like they predicted, or she was 9 pounds like they said she would be on that day. And it's weird because 2 days before I'd gone in for the induction, I had predicted Emmy at being 8 pounds too. And she was exactly 8 pounds too. Like, what the fuck? I mean, granted, she still got stuck in the birth canal, and I do believe that this would have happened, would it have been a week before or a week after, because it was in fact her head that got stuck. But I do believe that I did not need that induction at all, and it will forever be the biggest regret of my life, the biggest regret of my entire life, inducing. In the end, it doesn't matter, because we got the most beautiful baby girl and she's healthy and everything like that. But all of the drama and the pain and literally being in labour for literally 2 days almost on my own, was it worth it? Yeah, because we got our baby, but no, because I could have done that at home. And I do believe that with Katya by my side, I wouldn't have been A, as terrified, or B, as in much pain, because I would have the natural hormone support in that like process. And also I would have been calm, because I would have had someone by my side. And also the fact that I got ignored for so long was also obviously a factor. So I do believe all of that could have been avoided. And I just wanted to go to the doctors and say, look, there's your ginormous baby that you told me I was having, because she was 8 pounds too. It's totally average. Anyways, it doesn't matter now, she's here. I need to get over it. But of course, the full birth story doesn't sound as traumatic when I say it in black and white, but if you was there in that moment, it really honestly was, because I was totally alone and just literally continuously sent back to my room and continuously just ignored, basically. And when I was begging for pain relief, which was horrible, it felt like I was in some old asylum, you know, and just deemed hysterical or something, I don't know. Anyways, long story short, she was 8 pounds 2, 55 centimeters long, and absolutely gorgeous. Katya was allowed to stay with me 2 hours after the birth. It seemed like 10 minutes. We had a cheese sandwich. They unclipped my bed. They made me move from the bed to another bed. I have no idea how I managed it, because Emmy was on me. I managed to riddle down the bed. They put me on the bed. Next minute, I know they unclipped me. They start bullying me away. I didn't realise that's what they was doing at that moment. So I started to shout for Katya, because I was like, where the fuck is Katya gone? I just see the ceiling and they taking me pretty fast away. I was going, Katya, Katya. She turned up and then she said, oh yeah, sorry, they take you away. And I said, well, I didn't know that was happening. And I think it all got lost in translation, because they're speaking in German and I'm in shock. I've got a baby there, I don't know what's going on. So that was another thing. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And then all of a sudden they pulled me into my room, back into the room, the shared room with the other lady. I said, oh, hi, like normal day. Katya had to say goodbye to me, unfortunately. She left. The nurses pulled me in and said, don't try to stand up for 24 hours. Try to get some sleep. And then they left. And I'm laid there with Emmy thinking, how can I get some rest? I can't stand up. I don't know whether, do I sleep now with Emmy on me? I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I was absolutely knackered. And I just closed my eyes and I just left her on my chest then, and we just fell asleep together. And that was it. And then I think Katya came in the afternoon to visit me for a couple of hours, and she did some skin on skin with Emmy. And then I was left in that room for Saturday, Sunday, Monday evening I was allowed home. So it was like nearly 2 days that I was in the room. 2.5 days, because Saturday daytime, Sunday daytime, Monday afternoon. And I think a nurse came in to see me once and asked like, how I was, and the rest of the time I was just left alone to do with Emmy what I wanted to do. Of course, they came and they did some health checks on her to check her weight, and they came also through the night to remind me that I needed to feed her every 2 hours. They would wake me up and say, you need to feed her. It did feel unnatural to put Emmy in the little bedside cot that they had. So I didn't do that. She actually slept with me in bed for those days, which we don't do now. We're not co-sleeping at all, but for those couple of days we did, which I don't know if that was a good thing or not. I mean, it was good for bonding, but I think there was one instance where I accidentally put the quilt cover over her head, and the midwife luckily came in and had seen that and told me. Maybe I shouldn't admit that on the internet, but that's what happened, and from that day on I said I will never sleep with her in the bed again. And yeah, I was pretty much left alone to my own devices, and I tried to stand up the next day and I just couldn't. I was like nearly fainting, so I called for a nurse. She came and told me that I should stay in bed still. I got put on iron tablets, and they also told me that they measured my blood loss afterwards, basically with buckets, because I'd lost that much blood during labour. And then they told me I needed to have a wee. Obviously, you need to have a wee before you leave the hospital, and also I needed to go for a number 2, which, can I just say, the first poo after birth is horrific. It's worse than childbirth. God, I'm so negative, aren't I? I'm so negative. But we just spent these days literally just bonding. I just was looking at my baby girl, and Katya was allowed to come and visit for an hour a day. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a private room, which I wanted. They call the private rooms a daddy inn at this hospital. But unfortunately, Daddy Katya was not allowed to stay in because we didn't have a room. But I just spent these days just bonding with Emmy, and we found like this beautiful rhyme on, like, nursery rhyme on YouTube that was on like repeat, this melody, which we listen to now, and it brings me to tears every time I listen to it, because it just reminds me of our time we spent in the hospital together. And yeah, it was just unreal, the full situation. And when Monday came and we was finally allowed to leave the hospital, I was so ready to come home. I was so ready to just, I don't know, just be home and be away from that place. And shortly before we was leaving the hospital, the midwife, who had literally saved us on the Saturday, came to see me and told me that she was so happy that she had found me and Katya that day, and that she was so happy that she took me seriously, because by what was happening to my body and everything like this, there was no doubt in her mind that had I been left for 1 more hour, like, alone, nobody taking me seriously, that it would have resulted in a C-section, because of Emma's heart rate and because of, like, my contractions overrunning my dilation. Basically, it was at a very serious point in time, and we was just lucky that she was there. And I've since found out that a lot of things went wrong on that night, where a lot of things went wrong in that time in that hospital, and there was trying to find out why things had gone wrong, why the night staff didn't really care. They also lost my medical file. They lost it, so we have no more notes. And yeah, it was just not a very pleasant birth, but yeah, it's done now. She's here, she's safe. What can I say? I need to get over it. I think the thing for me was just being ignored. I think this is what it was, because when I say it out loud what actually happened, it's not so traumatizing, but it seemed like it was because of how alone I felt. But then, a gal, whatever, she's here now. So that's the end of it, basically. We came home on the Monday, and ever since then we've been pretty happy to be back, and I will never go back to the hospital again, and I have vowed to never ever ever have another baby again. And if we have another one, I said that Katya can do it next time. So let me quickly go and get Emmy, and I'll take the camera, we'll go see them, and then I'll end this vlog here. Let me go, let's go see them. Hi mama. Hi. Light on. So here's mama. Say hey mama. Hi. Emmy's sleeping, but I wanted to introduce you to end this video. There's our little beautiful gal. She is. So basically, the labour was horrific, but look at that face. It was worth it, wasn't it?
It was worth it.
So yeah, that's the end of this video. I think next video will probably be, what will it be? I don't know, something. I'll think of something. If you've got any questions or comments or whatever, please leave them below and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think to that story. Sorry if it was a bit boring or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Let's say Auf Wiedersehen und Tschüss, and I'll see you in the next one, whatever it may be. Maybe we do a 1 month update. Who knows? Feel free to follow us on Instagram. I'll leave that in the link below. And yeah, thank you for watching. Hope it wasn't too traumatizing. Bye.